Welcome back to our tutorial series on Chartwell. In this episode, I'm going to go over some of the more advanced techniques of the bars style of Chartwell. If you're new to Chartwell, I suggest you go back to our basics video. You can find a link in the description below. Let's start with a basic chart. Just like pies, we enter our values, each separated by a plus. When we turn on discretionary ligatures, each of those values snap into a bar chart the size of the value that we typed in. If we want to make adjustments to those values, we just deactivate discretionary ligatures, make our changes, and then reactivate discretionary ligatures. Great, so you might say to yourself, hey, these bars are just floating out in the middle of space, and I need to add some axis or grid lines to help make comparisons. Well, lucky for you, Chartwell can help with that. First, we'll deactivate our discretionary ligatures so we can see our syntax again. Then at the beginning, I'm going to type an A and then a plus, and then reactivate discretionary ligatures. And now we have a grid line behind our bars. And you can use any value from A to F. The higher you go, the less dense the grid lines become. There's B and C, D, E, and then finally F. And this might look blank. That's because it's kind of filling in the background. So we need to actually give the background a different color. And I'll just make this a lighter gray, reactivate, and there you can see. And so you could color the bars instead of the background if you wanted. Color it however you like. Another handy thing you can do is add a reference line. You can use this to help show relationships of the bars to some other value that isn't even in the chart. To add a reference line, at the end of our string of values, we just type a plus, then an X, and then the height of this reference line that we want. So let's say 55. And I'm going to color this red just so that we can see it. And then I'll activate discretionary ligatures, make this a little bigger, and boom, there's our reference line. The next thing I want to show you is how to do ranged bar charts, like these. These are also sometimes called floating bars. You might see this in weather apps showing the temperature ranges, but of course you can use this anytime you want to just show relationships of ranged values. The syntax for this is pretty simple. So here we've got a simple chart. 20 plus 80 gives us a chart that looks like this. To turn this into a range, our first value is going to be where the chart starts on the bottom. And we'll type a comma, and then we'll type the number where we want the top of the chart to be. So let's say 65. So this will now give us a chart that ranges from 20 to 65. And we could also do that here. Let's say we want this to start at 10. So I'll add a 10, then type a comma, and activate discretionary ligatures, and now we have that second value ranged as well. And so again, to reiterate, to do a ranged value, you've got to give it two values, a bottom and a top value, both separated by a comma. And then we can just string together as many values as we like with a plus, as usual. New in the latest version of Chartwell is the stacked bars feature seen here. To stack a bar on top of another, we're going to use the pipe or the vertical bar instead of the plus. So now instead of the 50 coming in the second column, it's going to start directly on top of that previous value of 40. So here's what that looks like in practice. So I've got a 30 here. I'll enter a pipe, then I'll type a 20, which will add a stack of 20 on top of it. I'll add a third one. And then for the second column, I'm just going to add a 30 on top of that. And if we activate discretionary ligatures, it actually just looks like our normal bar chart, but that's because they're all colored black and you can't tell which bar is which. So I'll just give these some color so we can actually see them. Activate discretionary ligatures, and boom, stacked bar charts. Another thing you might say is, I wish the bars were a little thicker or thinner. The solution to this is actually kind of fun. Your typography teacher might have taught you to never stretch type. Well, I'm here to tell you that they were wrong, at least when it comes to Chartwell. So just stretch the type. Make it wider, or skinnier. You can play with the tracking. And you can even skew it. Mind blown. Just don't judge us on the letter forms when you deactivate the ligatures. Actually, that's kind of fun. I also just want to give a quick shout out to histograms. This is another new style we added in the latest version, and it comes with the bars package. It functions exactly like bars, so everything we've talked about earlier will work in here as well. The only difference in these two is that histograms features a wider bar with zero space in between them. So there you have it, everything you ever wanted to know about Chartwell bars but were too afraid to ask. You can purchase licenses to Chartwell as well as our other fine typefaces at vectortype.com. If you found this video helpful, subscribe to our channel below, and I'll catch you next time.